fire, water, earth, air. These elements divided fight together in a game called, well, Elements Divided. Hello everyone! Welcome to a wonderful bending game known as Elements Divided. So as you saw before, we've got fire, water, earth, air, right? And it is very, very well made. Each element has its own set of moves. Today I'm going to be mostly focusing on fire because that's the element that I'm the most familiar with. It's the one that I've used the most. And I guess probably it would be best to start with just a quick overview of the moves, right? Now, obviously, here in the lobby, you've got a tutorial page that can help you figure out everything, right? Which is wonderful, glorious, glad that they added this. But there's not a lot of stuff about, like, the niche uses, right? So let's start with Firebolt, right? Just a very simple, you grab and throw, right? The faster you throw, the more damage it does. So if I do a really weak throw, right, it's really tiny, but a faster throw, much faster, much larger, right? And as you can see, it does more damage than the tiny one, right? So Firebolt is mostly useful as like a poke tool, right? You're using it as chip damage. You're probably not going to land it, but if you do, great, right? It's also, because the faster it's going, the more damage it'll deal, it can be helpful to movement boost into it as you essentially use it as chip damage while you're closing the gap because it benefits from that speed, right? So instead of just trying to retreat and doing it, right? See how small the fireballs are? Whereas if I go forwards, it's very easy to get them all at maximum size. There is also a bug that you can use where I believe, if I can do it right, there we go, like that, where if you throw a second fireball fast enough, if I can get it, there we go, you can have the second fireball explode, right? As if it were a fully charged fireball, right? So that can be very, very useful, right? Then we have your second move. Flamethrower, right? This is, honestly, more often than not actually very useful, unless you use it in tandem with Jetpack for a little bit of vertical mobility, right? Just swinging your arms back and forth, because fun thing about Flamethrower, it doesn't last very long unless you're changing directions, right? Which keeps reactivating it. So changing directions can be very good for getting Flamethrower to be active more often. Now, more often than not, Flamethrower is overshadowed by other moves, but it has a little bit more reach than some of your other closer range options, right? So you can still hit it from slightly further away than some of your other options can hit your target, right? Then you have the heat mechanic, which is essentially what allowed you to charge up the fireball, like I did before, right? As well as you can charge up Flamethrower and all of your other moves, right? Very simple, very easy to understand. Then we have Fire Blast. This, as you can see, bread and butter, this is your close range option. Most of the time, this is what you're going to use, right? It's very versatile. It can be used for mobility. It can be used as, again, close range damage. It can be used as a smoke screen to allow your other moves, right? It's very versatile. And again, Flamethrower, I believe... Okay. Well, I thought Flamethrower had a larger distance. I may be incorrect on that, or it may just be very slight. But a lot of the use cases where you would be using Flamethrower, you could just use Fire Blast instead, right? Sometimes having that very quick So sometimes having that continuous, right? If you're trying to track a target, can be very helpful with Flamethrower. But most of the time, a Fire Blast will be just fine, right? As you can see, it's pretty easy to hit, and when charged up, Fire Blast is very good for example, anti-air, right? Not specifically anti-air the element, but anti-air as in against aerial opponents, right? Because it's got a very wide area, it's very hard to miss. And it also gives you a very nice burst of speed, right? Now, then after that, we have the Fire Bow. This, in its uncharged form, is... some players will use it fairly frequently in their uncharged form. I am not one of those players. I do not find much use, because this is very slow. Right? I would rather be using the Firebolt, right, which I can throw multiple of almost immediately, in the situations where I would want to be using uncharged Fire Arrow. However, charged Fire Arrow is very nice. It goes much faster, much farther, and does a lot more damage. This is a very good poke tool, right? If your enemy isn't getting close or is being very predictable, you can use the Fire Arrow to get a good chunk of their health down, as you can see here, right? With the perks that I'm currently running, which we will get to, you can do a kill in about 3 charged Fire Arrows. With double-edged, which is a damage perk, you can bring that down to 2, but it can be a little bit less consistent, which again, I will get into later. Then, for Fire Jetpack, that is the double jump replacement that Fire has. This is extremely useful for horizontal mobility, and it's okay for vertical mobility. The problem with it for vertical mobility is if you're moving to the side, it, again, puts that momentum horizontally, which is usually great, right? If you're wanting to be vertical, you might want to add in the little fire wiggle, right? If you're specifically just looking for vertical mobility from the jetpack, right? Or you can, like, for example, Fire Blast a couple of times, right? Gain similar amounts of height. Again, a lot of the times, if you can use Flamethrower, you can probably use Fire Blast too. And then, of course, we have the Fire Laser, right? Which is a charge move. You charge entirely, and by default, you push your right hand forwards, right? This can be changed in settings, right? Much as with Fire Bow, you can change which hand you pull back, right? Which is a wonderful thing. But Fire Laser is very good against Earthbenders in particular, because it will break a lot of their structures. So I would highly recommend using it against them. It's also very good because it either forces the enemy to take damage or block. If they block, you can use it to advance or to retreat, right? Whichever one you need at the moment. If they don't block it, you get free damage because it can do a lot of damage if it keeps hitting them. The only thing is, Laser will struggle against extremely mobile targets, right? So think waterbenders going all over the place, airbenders going all over the place. If they are going back and forth a ton, you may struggle to hit them with Fire Laser consistently, right? Which is where things like Fire Blast and even sometimes Flamethrower can be very helpful, right? Then we have Fire Dagger. Now, I have my Fire Dagger set up so that it is on top. Usually it will be reverse grip. Personally, I would not recommend that just because you get more reach with them with non-reverse grip. Not that it really matters, because in the current state of the game, these are almost useless, right? Some players will use them effectively, right? And you have slashes like so, but it can be very difficult at times to get those slashes out consistently, right? Now here, I'm getting very lucky with it, but more often than not, in the heat of a fight, you are going to fail to put out those slashes. And even then, they're going to do worse damage than, for example, just... Right? Now, if I were to change those to daggers, as you can see, not anywhere near as consistent, not as much damage, right? So dagger, a lot of the time, unless it gets reworked from the point where I'm making this video, is something that you don't really want to be using. Now, at the very bottom, we're going to jump straight to that because it is triggered the same way as dagger. It is simply the charged version, so you wait for the orb to charge, and then you press your grip, right? This is the fire javelin. This is extremely useful. One, it can be quite decent in melee because, I mean, it just does that. But also, it is very useful because it can do this. It leaves an area of effect of fire, which is very, very good for controlling your opponent's movement. That is essential for higher level play, because the more you can control your opponent, the easier it is to land all of your more bread and butter hits, like Fire Blast, Arrow, etc., right? Now, from there, we have another bread and butter move. We have the Fire Orb. This is one of your best mobility options. You can go back and forth very quickly, very easily, right? And it is extraordinarily helpful in evasion, etc. It can also be used in combination with other moves for some very interesting strategies. Like, for example, Fire Orb and Fire Blast. I can fly now, right? And of course, if you save your double jump, that can extend your time in the air, so on and so forth. But at the moment, I believe the most consistent class at staying in the air, or the most consistent element at staying in the air, I should say, is fire, right? Now, that is kind of funny, but fire can't be offensive while in the air very well. Air can get in the air very frequently, but can't really stay there as long. But it can also be very offensive while in the air. Water... We don't talk about water. Water is a bit too strong at the moment. And then Earth has a fairly relatively balanced hybrid playstyle, sometimes grounded, sometimes aerial. It's very fun. But going back to the moves, we have Fire Leap. This is also very useful for mobility, especially when combined with Fire Orb, because Fire Orb gets detonated by your other moves, and the Fire Leap has an area of effect. This is triggered by doing Flamethrower, but pressing your grip, right? Now, do be warned, sometimes this will mean that you're trying to Fire Leap, like, let's say I launch into the air and I'm trying to Fire Leap, I might Flamethrower instead, right? That'll happen sometimes. That's okay. You get better at it with practice. But, for example, with Fire Orb, especially charged Fire Orb, Fire Leap can be very potent because you can charge into your orb instead of at the opponent, which is harder to predict as long as you're not doing it constantly, right? It allows you to have options, right? So you can put out a couple of different orbs. They don't know which one you're going to go to, right? And you can pick and choose your targets, which can be very, very useful. It is also best used as a mobility tool. A lot of players will just mindlessly charge with it. That will usually get you killed. You do not use Fire Leap as an offensive move unless you are certain that it will give you a kill, right? So if you're charging at your opponent, you do not charge straight at them. You go around behind them so that the AoE can hit them, right? And again, you want to make sure that that Fire Leap is going to guarantee a kill. Then we have another thing that should be bread and butter. It isn't for me because I'm bad. But the Fire Shield is very, very useful, right? Now, as a projectile, it's okay. It's not the worst, not the best, right? But where it really shines is in parrying, right? Because as you can see on these health bars, there are different bars of health. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That much damage is the amount of damage that you can parry, full parry, with the fire shield in 2 hands, right? Because when you summon it, it starts out being held by both hands, right? It gets significantly weaker when you let go of it with the other hand. You do not want to be doing that until you are ready to throw the shield, right? But your shield is your best defensive option besides just straight up using the normal block to parry while you have your ultimate. If you don't have your ultimate, rely on your fire shield. If you do have your ultimate, usually you should still rely on the fire shield. It's just that good, right? It is your best defensive option, so what some players will do is they might fire leap at a target and fire shield immediately because they're expecting immediate retaliation. That can be a very effective strategy. But there are, of course, a lot of different ways to play, right? And we've already talked about Fire Javelin, very good as an area denial tool, right? Now that we have the basic functionality and basic uses of each of the moves, let's get into the basic techs, right? I showed you one earlier, which was something known as noob hopping, right? You have Fire Orb, you Fire Blast it, you go uppies, right? This can be very, very useful for vertical mobility, as you can see. You can also, if you want a little bit less vertical mobility or the ability to transition into offense a lot easier, you can prepare Flamethrower and do the little swingy swing, right? A lot of early fire players especially will do this. And that lets you, for example, throw orbs from above. That can be very effective. It can also, if you know that they're going to retaliate, you could, for example, go up and let's say you know they're going to attack, you fire shield, then throw it at them after you've parried their attack, right? There are a lot of different ways to approach a fight, and it is entirely an experience and case-by-case basis. Of course, later on I will be showing all of this to you in a couple of actual matches against actual players, because why not? It's fun. But I think the next thing we should get onto is techniques. Now, these techniques I will not be covering yet, because I don't know much about them. I don't use these very much. Besides Double Edge. Double Edge, this is one of the strongest damage perks in the game. You get less health, but you do a lot more damage. That is very strong. However, for Fire, my personal preference, and the preference of a lot of higher-end players, is Burning Embrace and Scorched Earth. Now, this is unlocked, I believe, at level 30 and level 40, respectively. I could be incorrect on that. It may be level 20 and level 30, but Scorched Earth is one of the few perks that should almost never be removed from your fire loadout. It is very, very powerful because it makes Orb a much better mobility tool. It allows for noob hopping, right? It is extremely useful. Then, of course, we have Burning Embrace. Burning Embrace causes the damage over time that you were seeing on my attacks before. That little burning aura and that extra tick of damage, that is Burning Embrace. So, for example, here, hold on, let's go over here, and we've got, from the initial Fire Blast, that's about 2 bars, and then it burns roughly an additional 1 bar, right? That can be very useful, especially for Fire Laser, where you might only get 1 little hit in, right? But suddenly that little hit has that whole burn damage, right? It allows for a much more chip damage focused playstyle if you need it, and gives extra damage when you don't, right? So those are the 2 that I would recommend at the very least starting with. If you don't have those yet, I would recommend starting with Vital Discipline and Double Edge. That way you have the extra health, which is nice, and Double Edge, which is good damage. But as soon as you can, I would use Burning Embrace and Scorched Earth, or Double Edge and Scorched Earth, right? Because both of those are extremely potent. Of course, now we have the ultimates. Lightning. I will not elaborate. No, I am entirely joking on that. Lightning is a lot more versatile than Fire Pillar, because Fire Pillar is a lot easier to miss, right? So let's say I'm trying to put down the Fire Pillar, right? It's very easy for somebody to dash away or just simply avoid it, right? Now, it is very useful against aerial targets, right? Like, let's say there was something up above. This has a very, very high vertical range, right? So that is something that it can be very useful for. However, Lightning Bolt is, well... Lightning Bolt. It has a very good charge time. It allows you to feint your opponent fairly easily. So, for example, you can be charging at them, make them... Because it has such a potent visual effect, they will assume you're going to use it, but you can feint and then change your tactics, right? Which can be very useful. Especially because higher tier players get very used to the timing of ultimates and learn how to parry them, right? Using block at the proper time. So doing that sort of feint maneuver can be very helpful at avoiding that. Basically, the whole point is Lightning Bolt is a lot more versatile, can be used in a lot more different situations. It obviously can't deal damage to multiple targets, and isn't as good against aerial targets as Fire Pillar is, but overall it is more consistent, especially because if somebody dashes very quickly, you can follow, right? The other thing is, Lightning also has a lingering hitbox, so if they don't parry at the perfect timing, it can be very easy for them to just fail to parry it, right? Especially if you're mixing up the timing by canceling it or, like, faking somebody out, right? Now, of course, its downside is it is quite easy to miss as well if you do not practice with it, so I would recommend, like, moving around in the starting area, maybe even trying to use it in normal lobbies, seeing if you can hit these flying targets, right? And go on from there. The other fun thing is it is the ultimate that you start with, which makes it a lot easier to do things with. But yeah, that is, to my knowledge, the basics of Fire. Obviously, there is more complex stuff out there that players better than me can teach, because I will be the first to admit I am not the best Fire player. I am just decent. I am slightly above average, and only slightly. But these techniques, this knowledge should be enough to win you a lot of matches, especially with practice, right? Oh, there is one thing that I forgot to mention. When charging an attack, right? Leaving it in this uncharged state is leaving it in this undecided state is very, very useful, because you can switch between arrow, orb, laser, right? Or while you're charging, you can switch between shield, orb, arrow. You can also press your grip to separate them, which gives you very easy access to javelins, which again are useful as area denial tools, or even if somebody is diving on you, and you have the ability to, you throw them at your feet. Now, they take a ton of damage just for being near you, right? It is especially powerful with Burning Embrace, because if it slightly touches them, they now have the burn effect on them, right? Which does a little bit of extra damage, even if they leave the range. But yeah, being able to switch on a whim between these, as well as being able to immediately throw out the attacks from the uncharged state, or from the undecided state, I guess, can be very useful. Now, sometimes you might screw up the charge a little bit and you'll get an uncharged attack, but that is more than worth it for having that unpredictability. Okay, so from here, I think it is about time we get into a match. So good luck on that to me.
Round 1.
Okay, so, he was trying to sawfly there. I don't want to let that happen, because that gives him a lot of options. Oh, he has stasis that wall. Okay. He's got very good ranged. Yeah, he's gonna be using stasis a lot. So I'm gonna want to try and get around that if I can. Get some hits in. Force him to give up on his stasis with Fire Laser, or break it. This is where you might want to use Fire Laser very defensively to break things and then go for a hit. Because if you just go straight for the hit, you might just die. I am going to be playing very passively here, trying to deal with any of that stasis best I can, while getting a couple of pot shots out with laser. I don't want to be close to this. That was a very bad laser. Just keep poking at him, keep being passive. Just circle him, make sure he can't reliably get his stasis off. And, okay, there we go. That's round 1. Let's get this second round off. You want to be very careful of stasis as fire. If you are not respecting it, are not trying to get rid of it, it will absolutely decimate you. If you get an opportunity like that, you can go around somebody. Oh my god, okay, that was a parry. Hold on. Yo, what is going on at the moment? That was a big lag spike. Holy mother of lag. Whoa. Yeah, lag is a very just want to make sure that that doesn't stick. And again, because I'm lower health than they are, I want to keep being cautious here, keep poking. They're very, very good at using stasis, so I want to just make sure that doesn't happen. And if they're up in the air like that, right, you can't always rely on like a laser or something. Okay, they're just trying to overwhelm me, so I don't know which attack they're firing off next. So I just destroy whatever I can. And I can see if I can get an arrow or two in. Now that the zone's going to be closing in, saw stasis is very dangerous, so I want to be very careful of that. They'll generally, if they go up with a wall like that, they're planning on using it in some way, so destroying it is usually a pretty good wrench in their plans. Let's see if I can get some javelins out. And now that we're close, I can use Charge Fire Blast. GG's, man. That was absolutely amazing. Let's go! First ranked win! Woo! I haven't won yet. Oh my god. Jesus. Alright, so we've got another match against the same player. I'm going to be using fairly similar tactics, focusing on destroying any structures with laser, poke with charged arrow if I can. Looks like they're trying to change up their strategy to be more stasis heavy. I want to be very careful of that. And if I can get some hits on them like that, that would be great. Beautiful hit with the fire arrow. I want to be very wary of all of those. I want to be very careful here because I have my health extremely low. I want to be very cautious if I can be, because just one of those, or one of anything really, will kill me immediately. Okay, that was good. I used the fireball thing there. I should be able to finish this off with a laser, like so. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's see if I can get another round out of this. I'm winning, but I don't know if that'll last. If they exhaust both dashes in the air like that, you might be able to get a pot shot off. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. That was scary. But again, I am playing very cautiously. I am more reactive. If I see an easy opportunity to get close, I will take it. But I might also try and just mess with them. I don't know where they went, so I've got to be careful. And yeah, they're definitely leaning more into the stasis now, which is good for them, bad for me. So I need to go back to playing very careful, as annoying as that is. And focused on using laser to destroy any stasis objects. I was out of range. I'm very careful of that. Just focus on Okay, gotta love when lag hits. That's fine. I have another round to go. He's up in the air, he's vulnerable. And I'm just gonna whittle him down. For as long as it keeps working, absolutely. Look, that stasis is terrifying. I don't know what else I'm gonna do against that. Because, like, fire's only real option for stasis is destroy it, right? That was a very good predict. I'm lucky that didn't hit me. Oh, God. Okay. I have no idea what's going on. I love when the game just decides that my ping is through the roof. Oh, boy. Oh, God. It is so much harder to play through lag spike. Oh, no, not again. No. Jesus. Please. Okay. I am amazed that I hit that. Oh boy. I'm playing stupid now. Of course I am. So what I want to be doing at the moment is I want to be, because I've got such a massive health advantage, I want to be trying to close this gap, close this distance, right? Like so, because even if I take a bit of damage in that, I'm able to win the fight. GG's, you played very well, man. I got spooked. I got really spooked as soon as you started using like saw stasis and stuff more. That really freaked me out. Oh my god. If you had fought me like a week ago even, I would have just died immediately to all of that. Waterbending is a really annoying matchup. Alright, sync 1, 2, 3.
Round 1.
Careful here because of that. Water saw is a good way to stop that from happening. He's again fire laser. Who knew that fire laser was fire's best defensive tool? Oh, the water stasis scares me more than the icicle stasis because I can't do anything against the water stasis. I can't break it. I can't get rid of it. It's just there and I have to deal with it. Hello! Yeah. Yeah. Oh god, the wiggles! Come on, game, you can hold on, you can do this. The power of whee! I hit that? Huh? I hit that? Lord. I swear this is just an entire gameplay loop of just, huh? What? How? Okay. Lag City again. That's gonna happen probably. God, I have so many awful memories of icicle stasis. Just absolutely wrecking me for no reason. Ice Trail can be good for waterbenders defensively, but you can also use the Ice Trail. It's very neat! I'm like Michael Jackson up in here. No. No ice. The other difficult thing is I have to be able to turn around very quickly against waterbenders. Because if I don't, I die. Honestly, this fire laser is saving me defensively on so many levels. Destroying the wave there with an arrow. You know what? Whermps. Ah, thermps! Oh! Okay, that's round 1. Oh, no, round 2. That felt like round 1! Why did that feel like round 1? I have no idea! Ah, I couldn't shoot your toes. No, thank you. The other thing is being able to figure out the effective range of a stasis, right? If I see it there, I know it probably won't be able to hit me if I'm being cautious, right? But there! That's scary. I was trying to do some fire blasts, but I guess not. Yeah, I don't think flamethrowers much use, unfortunately. If I can land it, it's great. But if I can't, beach ball of friendship. Aw, man. My commentary has gone from insightful to beach ball of friendship, and honestly, I'm here for it. Okay. Hello. I like this distance. This distance makes me happy. Look at all of my friends. I'm not lonely. I don't know what you're talking about. God! Oh. Stasis, man. It's so hard to deal with. Although, honestly, you're not too over-reliant on it, so your playstyle probably isn't gonna be, like, decimated too badly by... Oh my god, the... Right! I have no idea what's going on! Where am I? Why am I? How am I? Holy mother of wiggles! I went from full health to almost nothing in like one lag spike. I love it. Makes things harder. Oh no. Oh, I'm in that range now. Oh god. I know what this means. Oh, thank god you're not doing it though. Oh! The power of uppies! Run that back. You are victorious.